So this will be an example for a linear schedule. So this will look just like your homework in class. The first page will have the activities listed out here. There'll be approximately 6 or 7, something similar to this. It'll say create a linear schedule for construction of similar 20-mile long highway. So it might be 30 or 40 or something like that. Using the following activities, and I've given you the production rate. I also given you a 2-day and space buffer, or 2-day buffer and no closer than half mile. Those are the buffers that I've given. And I've given you a template to work with as well. So I want you to draw on this template and label each individual activity, adhering to the production rates here, and the 2-day buffer and the no closer than a half mile space buffer. So like in the lecture, the first thing I recommend to do is to do the math and get the duration of each individual activity. So I'm giving you the rate, 5 miles per day, 1 mile per day, etc. I'm giving you a 20-mile long highway. Well, what is the duration to complete the 21-mile highway? Well, I'm going to divide 5 into 21 into 20 and so forth. And I'm just going to put this off to the side here. I'm going to try to do this lecture in Word, so bear with me here because I'm not writing on it. So I'm going to off to the side, so 5 into 20. Let's do this in different color. So 4 days here and 1 into 20 and try to keep them all together. 20 days. This one also takes 20 days. 2 into 20, 10 days. 2 into 20, oops, it's 10 days. 4 into 20 is 5 days. And 5 into 20 is 4 days. Okay, and oops, I want to get these all red. Just so we know it's not part of the given, it's some math I've done. You do not have to show this for your homework. I'm not going to be technically grading this part. This is just our work to help make the drawing down here easier. So we just connect 2 points. Okay, so the first thing to do after that is to add survey and layout to the graph. This one starts at the end of day 0. It takes 4 days because 5 into 20 is 4. So that's just going to connect the points 0 and 4. So it's easier to just print this out and use a ruler and use your pencil. But I can't record that, so I'm going to draw, or actually insert a shape and just use this line tool. Hopefully this kind of works out. So I'm going to connect 0 and 4 with a straight line. So that's the first one. And then you could label it. So I recommend for when you turn it in that you label survey and layout for this line here, and I would write next to it, just like in the lecture where it's written next to it. I will give this first one a shot. Let's do like a text box and see if I could write next to it. Text box. Okay. Survey and layout, and then I'm going to turn it along so it goes along the line. Cool, that's somewhat parallel. And let's make the box see-through. How do I go about doing that? Fill, no fill. And then the line of the box, no outline. Okay, cool. Now survey and layout just there. Let's make the text pop a little bit more. Red. Let's bold it too. Cool. So you can see that using Word isn't the easiest for doing this, but it works for this tutorial. Okay, so survey and layout has been labeled and placed. Okay, so then now we add the next line, site clearing. With 1 mile per day, it takes 20 days to complete. We want to adhere to this 2-day buffer of and a space buffer of no closer than half a mile. So that means this guy has to start on day 2. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this line, place it on starting on day 2, but it doesn't end on day 6. It would actually be 20 days. It takes 20 days to do it, but starting on day 2, so it'd be 20 plus 2 is 22. So I'm just going to take the end of this line and place it on 22. Cool. And then now I'm going to label it. I'm just going to copy and paste this. It's a lot easier now that I've just did the first one. Try to make this a little bit more parallel to the line. Okay, and what was the title again? Site clearing. Okay. No enter. Okay, that's the other one that is labeled. Maybe move it a little closer to the line or something. Okay, it doesn't have to be too perfect. Okay, now the next one. The next one, that has the same production rate, so that won't be parallel to the previous one. It is earthwork. We still want to adhere to the 2 days time buffer and the no closer to half a mile space buffer. So I'm going to start this one 2 days after that one, so that will start on the 4th. It takes 20 days to do it, so it'll finish on the 24th. I don't have to move it because it's the same production rate. Then we label it. This one was earthwork. With all the grids here, maybe it was better to keep the box white, but we'll deal with that later. Earthwork. Okay. Maybe moving it down here, be easily more readable. Okay, then now we've done earthwork. The next one is sub base. Well, this one takes 10 days to complete. So that one has a faster production rate than the previous one. So if I do, oops, I copied and pasted the wrong one. So the line. So if I do the 2-day time buffer for the start, like I did with everything else, start this one at day 6. See if I can get it there. Okay, that's approximately at day 6. It takes 10 days to do it. Well, 6 plus 10 is 16. So like I was talking about in the lecture, if I do that, well, then we have conflicts here. So for this one, we're going to have to do the opposite. We're going to have to start it 2 days after this guy finishes. So that would be the 26th. So to determine how or when this one would start, we do 26 minus its duration of 10. So 26 minus 10 is 16. I've conveniently made the slope of this line the correct slope, so it should just line up when I put it on the 26 up there. Boop, it almost did. Well, it's not gonna let me move it to be precise. That's a little bit more close. Well, close enough. So this was the situation I was talking about, because it had a faster production rate than the previous one. If I just did it 2 to the start, there would be conflict. So I needed it to figure out the start from the finish. So at 26 down to 16. Now label this guy. It has a different rate, so the slope is off. And I already forgot what it's called. Subbase. Cool. Then now we move on to base. This one has the same production rate, so we don't have to worry about that issue of 26, 28. So it's going to be 2 on both ends. So just like the previous one, I could just copy and paste it. And make sure this one starts on the 18th and finishes on the 28th. That's approximately it. Subbase. Base. And that one's labeled. Cool. So we have five of them labeled. We just need 2 more, paving and signage. So paving goes 4 miles a day. It's the second fastest rate that we have in this example. It only takes 5 days to complete. So just like subbase, if I did it 2 days, right, started it here on the 20th, it would end on the 25th, so they would intersect. To the 25th is up here, so they would intersect somewhere right here. So again, we need to go work backwards. Place this 2 days on the 30th from this one finishes, and then use math to determine when this should start. So 30 minus its duration of 5 is 25. So I'm gonna move this to 24, 25 right there, and then label it with paving. And then lastly, signage and stripping. This one has the fastest production rate. It only takes 4 days to do. I believe we'll have a similar situation because if we did 2 days, 28. 28 plus the 4 is the 32. So that could work. Actually, if we're done 25, oh, actually at the 25, it takes 4 days. So it'll actually be on the 29th. But we also want to complete this as fast as possible too, by still maintaining the 2-day space buffer. So we might as well just have this finish 2 days after and be as close as possible. So if we finish this, have this one finish 2 days after paving finishes, 32 minus the 4 will give us the start of 28, which will also still, it won't be the 2 days after 24, 25, 26, 27 down here, but it will be as close as possible up there. And then we save this guy, or name this guy. Signage and stripping, so just putting up signs, stripping forms or something. So, yep. Cool. And that is basically how we do this. Notice we didn't finish out the rest of the page here in the example on in the lecture. It was nice and convenient. The grid here only went to the maximum amount of days that you needed. That's not necessary. I just made a grid that was big enough for this example, so you don't have to, this won't finish all nice and perfect on 50. This is just the fastest schedule possible for these 7 activities for our project that maintains the minimum time and space buffer, the 2-day space buffer, and no closer than half a mile, which you notice that if we just adhere to the 2-day space buffer, the half mile, the 2-day time buffer, the space buffer of no closer than half a mile is already met by maintaining this first one. And that's it. This is exactly what you'll need to do for your homework. Like I said, it'll look exactly like this. You're welcome to do this in Microsoft Word like I did, but you can see it's a little bit easier, a little bit more difficult actually. Maybe it's easier after you do the first one, you just copy and paste like I did. This is fine. You could print this out and turn something like this in as well. Just don't forget to name it. Put your name on it. That is it. This is the end of the example.